So multiplication and division are actually much easier than addition and subtraction when it comes to fractions. And here, this is all it is. 7 over 2 times 10 over 3. All you got to do is multiply across the numerators and multiply across the denominators. That's it. 7 times 10 is 70 over 2 times 3 is 6. And here's your answer, 70 over 6. So that's the only process there is for multiplication. We still do want to make sure that our fraction, our final answer at least, is in simplified form or simplest terms, right? So let's think, do 70 and 6 both have a common factor? Well, they're both even, right? They're both even, so they definitely have a factor of 2. 70 is 2 times 35. 6 is 2 times 3. We can cancel out that common factor of 2, and our answer is 35 over 3. And multiplication with fractions is just that simple. Let's do another example or two. Let's say we had, negative 12 over 5 times 3 over 2. Why not? Negative 12 over 5 times 3 over 2. First, let's think. Is our answer going to be negative or positive? We have a negative fraction times a positive fraction. Negative times positive. The answer is negative. And now we just worry about multiplying across the numerator. 12 times 3. And across the denominator. 5 times 2. 12 times 3 is 36. Don't forget our negative. And 5 times 2 is 10. All right. Do the numerator and the denominator now have any common factors? Hopefully we can see they're definitely both even, right? So we should be negative 2 times 18, right? 2 times 18 divided by or over 2 times 5, right? Cancel out the common factor of 2 and our final answer, negative 18 over 5. Maybe one more example. Let's say we had negative 1/2 times negative 3 over 7. Right, negative 1/2 times negative 3 over 7. Let's worry about the sign of our answer first. We have a negative times a negative. Our answer is going to be positive. I would just worry about multiplying across the numerators, 1 times 3, over, multiply across the denominators, 2 times 7. 3 times 1 or 1 times 3 is just 3. 2 times 7 is just 14. 3 and 14 do not have any common factors, so there's our final answer. Multiplication is not too bad at all. Let's take a look at division. Let's say we had 12 over 7 divided by 3 over 2. Now, how in the world do you do this? Here's what you do. Dividing a fraction is the same as multiplying its reciprocal. All right, so we've got to make sure we understand what that word means first. Reciprocal. So the reciprocal of a fraction, it's just that fraction flipped upside down. Just that simple. The reciprocal of 3 over 2 is 2 over 3. Similarly, the reciprocal of 2 over 3 is 3 over 2. Another random example, the reciprocal of, let's say, 99 over 17 is 17 over 99. Just flip it upside down. And similarly, the reciprocal of 17 over 99 would be 99 over 17. That's pretty easy to see. Let's take a look at two examples of somewhat different scenarios when it comes to reciprocals, so we know what we're doing. So we know how to find the reciprocal of a fraction if it's written as a numerator over a denominator, right? But what would be the reciprocal of something like just the number 5? How do you find the reciprocal of an integer? Well, 5 we can write as 5 over 1, right? Because 5 divided by 1 is 5, so we can write 5 explicitly as a numerator over a denominator by writing it as 5 over 1. And then to find its reciprocal, we just flip it over, right? Reciprocal of 5 is 1 over 5. For the same reason, let's take another whole number. It's reciprocal of 13, nothing but 1 over 13, right? And for that same reason, same thing works in the opposite way, right? Let's say we had 1 over 7. The reciprocal of 1 over 7 is just 7 over 1, which would just equal 7, right? So the reciprocal of 1 over 7, nothing but 7. The reciprocal of, let's say, 1 over 24, nothing but 24 over 1. Otherwise written just 24, right? All right, so now let's use that to do some division. So when you're taking a fraction and dividing it by another fraction, all you need to do is keep the first fraction, 12 over 7, and then multiply by the reciprocal of the fraction you're dividing by. And then we remember how to multiply, right? We just multiply across the numerators. 12 times 2 is 24. Multiply across the denominators. 7 times 3 is 21. Our answer, 24 over 21. What if we had something like 3/8 divided by, let's say, 1/3? 3/8 divided by 1/3. All right, we keep the fraction we start with, 3 over 8, multiply by the reciprocal of the fraction you're dividing by. Reciprocal of 1 over 3 is 3 over 1. All right, multiply across the numerators. 3 times 3 is 9. Multiply across the denominators. 8 times 1 is 8. And there we have our answer. So oftentimes you will see fraction division not written with that traditional division sign. Oftentimes you'll see it written like this. Let's say 2 over 5, and then it'll actually be written as a fraction of fractions. This example here is 2 over 5 divided by 7 over 3. So we take the fraction we're starting with, or the fraction on the top, 2 over 5, multiply by the reciprocal of the fraction we're dividing by. Here we're dividing by 7 over 3, so we're going to multiply by 3 over 7, the reciprocal. And then we just have a simple fraction multiplication problem, right? Multiply across the numerators, 2 times 3 equals 6. Multiply across the denominators, 5 times 7 equals 35. And there's our answer. Let's take a look at maybe one more example. Let's take a look at one more example. Let's take a look at actually something like, what if we had something like 10, and let's say that was divided by 3 over, say, 15. What if we had like 10 divided by 3 over 15? Well, how does that work since 10 isn't initially written as a fraction, right? Well, remember, we can write any whole number as a fraction by writing it as over 1, right? So this might be easier to manage. So what we're really doing here is 10 over 1 divided by 3 over 15. So we keep our first fraction, 10 over 1, multiply by the reciprocal of the fraction we're dividing by. We're dividing by 3 over 15, so we're going to multiply by 15 over 3. All right, and then 10 times 15 is 150, divided by 1 times 3 is 3. And this will actually go in evenly. You can actually do 150 divided by 3, and the answer you'll get in this case would be 50. Let's take a look at one more example for good measure. Let's just take a look at one more example. What if we had something like negative 12 over 11, and let's say that were divided by negative 4. Say we had negative 12 over 11 divided by negative 4. Well, our numerator is written explicitly as a fraction, right? Our denominator is not written explicitly as a fraction, but we can write it out as a fraction, right? Negative 11 over 12. Negative 4 can just be written as negative 4 over 1, right? This will make it easier to work with. And then let's think, first of all, we have a negative divided by a negative. Our answer is going to be positive. So let's just ignore those negative signs since they'll cancel out. We'll keep the fraction on the top, 12 divided by, or 12 over 11, multiply by the reciprocal of the fraction in the denominator, or the fraction you're dividing by. Reciprocal of 4 over 1 is 1 over 4, right? And then we can multiply across the numerator. 12 times 1 is 12. Multiply across the denominator. 11 times 4 is 44, right? All right, and now what you can do is now note that 12 and 44 definitely have a common factor of 4, right? 12 is 4 times 3. 44 is, as we just saw, 4 times 11, right? Cancel out that common factor 4, and our answer is positive 3 over 11.